I think it's the opportunity to give back. First of all, when we started sort of considering foster care, we worked as supported lodging providers first. So that was sort of children 18 years and up that had maybe had family breakdowns or were sofa surfing, had found themselves homeless for one reason and another. So we looked after, we cared for 4 children through supported lodgings. But then the government sort of changed it whereby if a child came in that sort of needed support, that was 17 and you were already caring for an 18-year-old, the expectation was that you sort of moved that 18-year-old on to take the 17-year-old on. And that just didn't sit with my values, because if you care for somebody, you don't just say, well, that's it now, off you go. After we'd finished caring for the child that we had with us at that time, we then moved on to foster care, because you've got more of that continuity to be able to make a difference really, and to provide that child some security and care for them more, either well on a longer term basis or a short term if that's what that child needs, depending, you know, what the care plan is for that individual. I think from my children's point of view, it's made them more open, because for them, they haven't really wanted for anything. We've got both parents who love them very much, who both worked full time, and I think it's made them realise that not all children have that start in life. So it's made them sort of more empathetic and more open and more caring to what other sort of people or children of that same age might have had to go through. So when we first started it was supported lodgings, we was part of a pilot for Barnardo's, and that was sort of 16-year-olds that were either in prison and needed to come out of prison because the family brought them down and they needed a place to stay, or they were high-risk offenders and were at high risk of going into prison. So we actually did that for 18 months, but then the pilot finished with Barnardo's, and that's where then we moved into supported lodgings, because we had a child with us at that time. So they moved him into supported lodgings, so we moved to a supported lodgings provider and saw that through, and then that, like I say, we moved on to foster care. But I think as a family point of view, I think it broadens it somehow. It gives you that satisfaction that you're actually making a difference, that you're actually giving back, and it gives you that personal satisfaction when you see a child grow and settle and develop that security and happy. Probably going on holiday recently is probably one of the most recent ones. The children that we've got with us at the moment, we took them on holiday, so it was the first time they'd actually been abroad, the first time they'd been on a plane. And the little boy we've got with us at the minute was absolutely petrified of water, and I mean petrified, due to things he'd been told in the past. So whilst we went on holiday the first couple of days, it wouldn't even go in the water. It was that petrified, so everybody else was playing, and by the end of the holiday he was swimming. The little girl that was with us as well, she was swimming, so by the end of the holiday we'd gone from a little boy that was absolutely petrified, wouldn't go in the water, wouldn't get his head wet, was petrified that his brain was going to fill with water. It was that severe, this fear, to then actually swimming underwater, and we got videos of it and everything of him swimming, and now he wants to go to the pool at weekends and things like that. And obviously water safety is mega important, isn't it, with all the children that we see drowning every year. So they're brilliant, we have to say. They are brilliant. I mean, we were with another agency previously and they were brilliant too, but we chose to move because previous foster agencies have been quite a lot of years. They were taken over by another agency, and it sort of lost that family feel. I mean, when we started it, we were one of the first foster care agencies, and you knew everybody and you knew all the other carers, and there was regular groups, and we all came together to support each other. And then when it was taken over, it just sort of went massive, and there was all these new employees came and new carers, and you didn't know anybody, and it felt more like a business. And to me, fostering, you can't run a fostering agency like a business. I understand it is, but it can't be. It has to have that family feel. Choosing to go to Thrive was because it was like going back to the beginning. It does feel like a family. I think the staff care for each other as well as the carers, and that's very much, you know, they all get on. And when you go to meetings and the supervising social workers come out, they feel more like friends, sort of. It's that sort of feeling, you know, that if you've got a problem, you can ring them at the end of the phone, and you know, there's no judgment there. You know, there's no right or wrong. I think at the very beginning when we first started fostering, I think it was the effect on our own children, because at that point in time I think our own son would have been 9 and our daughter would have been 11. So you always fear as to, you know, taking other children into your household that you're not quite sure what their needs are going to be, how it's going to affect them. and also how it was going to affect work as well, because we both worked full time when we both started fostering, so it's how it was going to fit in with that, because obviously there's training and there's meetings and things that need to take place, so it was how it was going to fit around that. But like I said, from my children's point of view, I think it was a good thing for them. I think they've made lifelong friends. One of the children that we supported is still a good friend of the family. He was an usher at my daughter's wedding. His 2 children were page boys at my daughter's wedding. We're still, we're like family. He's my son's best friend. I'm still in contact with all my foster children that I've fostered throughout the years, whether on Facebook or they still come for tea. One of the foster children comes, that he's now 20, still comes every Christmas and Easter, and he'll ring me up if he's got a problem or whatever. So I'm still there on the periphery. It is a continuous and extended family, so when they come and join your family, it becomes a true foster family, and when they move on, they still stay part of that. They don't move on forever, it's still part of the family unit. I think experience from when we first started. Obviously you develop a lot of experience. We've had a lot of training, both with our previous agency and with Thrive, so that also helps. So I'm a nurse by background. My husband was a firefighter by background, and then as a firefighter we did a lot of work with the Princess Trust. So all that sort of experience and knowledge, you sort of grows with each child. So you sort of know how to step back and around the communication and making sure that that's therapeutic, because how you would sort of care for your own children, it's very different with a foster child, because it's knowing what they've been through and the trauma, and so you have to sort of manage things differently and recognise that the behaviour isn't not necessarily because they're being a naughty child, it's because they're either maybe scared or frightened or need a hug, or they're worried about something, or it's an anxiety, and it's trying to unpick that and try and get that to the surface, so that, because you can't really deal with something until it's sort of out in the open. And obviously when they first come into your care, it's very, very difficult. You can imagine yourself going to somebody's house that you don't know and sitting down for a meal and, sleeping in somebody's house. It's really scary. And to try and develop that trust for them to actually open up and feel comfortable enough, and for them not to feel guilty, because a lot of children feel guilty because they feel that if they're talking to somebody else, they're letting their own parents down, their own family down. So it's trying to get that balance really, and to gain that trust with them, to get them to open up and to talk to you. And I think when you've actually developed that bit of a relationship with them, they trust you and they start to open up, then that becomes a little bit easier. So it's all about having the basics, about the communication skills and that understanding, that empathy really. I think empathy is a big thing, to try and put yourself in that child's position and how you would react in that, and that's probably how they're reacting, to then step back and think, right, well, this is how we've got to try and deal with this, or try and look at it this way, or giving space. Go for it. Really. It's really, really rewarding. You get loads and loads of support, especially from Thrive, or I would imagine there's other agencies is just as good, but from my point of view, Thrive have been absolutely brilliant. You've always got somebody on the end of the phone 24 hours a day if you've got a concern or a worry. There's always that peer support from other foster carers, and there's the child advocates as well that they have at Thrive as well, who will also support and come and speak to the children and do some additional work if there's anything that they're really specifically struggling with or need some extra help with, or just need some time out. It really does make a difference. You get that opportunity to make a difference to somebody else's life, and I think it's one of the only real ways in today's society that you can really make a real difference, other than sort of charity work, but that's sort of on a people coming in and out. It's not on a consistent, continuous basis where somebody can come to you and you can actually see that person in all the rawness and the struggles, the trauma that they've been through. None of us know what trauma these children have been through. We only know what social services have been told or what they've let us know. Sometimes we find out more as we go through, and then to actually see that child actually relax and actually blossom into the person that they're supposed to be with that support is amazing. And yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. For me, from a nursing background, obviously I'm a very caring person, and my husband's from a firefighting person. He's sort of from a firefighting background. Our roles in life have always been to help others, and that's basically the background of sort of both our jobs. So I suppose fostering sort of fits neatly within that really, because it's sort of an extension of our usual daily roles. So for me, from a nursing perspective, obviously caring for somebody, helping them grow, helping, supporting, obviously all that communication skills that we've got the background of. And from Chase perspective, so from a firefighting perspective, from the Prince's Trust, they have groups of children up to usually from 16 onwards, where you're trying to help them and give that confidence and that self-esteem to grow and to make better life choices. And obviously they go into schools and things as well and talk about water safety and knife crime and things like that. That's probably what pushed us towards fostering. It's sort of our background from the caring perspective, and I think that's only sort of grown along our fostering journey really. Well, they mean a lot. Obviously they become part of your life, they become part of your family. So you care for them the same as you would your own children. There isn't really any sort of difference there really, especially for the younger children that we've got now. Obviously we're there to support them with washing and dressing and the personal hygiene, because often children, when they come from a fostering background, haven't had those basics. So it might be even down to, you know, helping them wipe the bottom, learning them how to clean the teeth. Sometimes it's helping them get dressed. It can be as, you know, things like that, because they've just never had that support and nurturing because of the background or whatever that they've come from. Not all children are like that. Some children come, they're absolutely fine and they just get on with it, and you know, they have had that upbringing. It's just a case of circumstances that have led them to need to be in foster care for whatever reason. Our foster children, they continue to, like I said, we've been foster carers for 16 years. We're in contact with all our foster children. They still come for tea, they still come for Christmases and Easter and things like that. So we're just like one big family really. They just become a part of us, and when they move on, it's just an extension as you would with your own children. It's like I said before really, I chose Thrive because again they were quite a new agency, they were quite small, quite family orientated and family focused, which to me is really important. I don't feel that you can run a fostering agency as a business. It needs to have that family focus at its centre, and that's what Thrive does. All the staff are absolutely lovely. It feels homely when you go into the office. Everybody's friendly and happy, and the staff all get on. And like I said, they care for themselves as colleagues as well as us as foster carers and the children that with the agency.